नमस्ते, नमस्कार करें। Can you get your notebooks? Now we have been talking about various formats. We've been talking about the Pushpanjali as an opening format. We've been also talking about the Tode Mangalam as another format. So in the same vein, the Mallari is another wonderful format which has been adapted to dance. And actually in Carnatic music, there is a very beautiful link of the Mangalavadyam, which is the Nadaswaram. Because a Nadaswaram Vidwan, in fact, a lot of people say that in Carnatic music, if you really want to excel as a musician, you must hear a lot of Nadaswaram, you know. The melody aspect and the tawil, which plays a lot of contra rhythms. The rhythm is very important in the tawil. So they always say that anybody who listens to a lot of Nadaswaram has more chances of becoming a knowledgeable musician. So Nadaswaram has been a very integral part of also anything auspicious, as you know, just as your Shehnai in the north, you know, for a wedding or a temple procession. You can't imagine it without the Nadaswaram. So since the opening up of dance in terms of bringing in more musical compositions into the fold of dance, Mallari was taken from the Nadaswaram tradition. Mallari is something that is played on the Nadaswaram when the Utsava Murti, or the Murti, not the inside Murti, but the Murti which is taken around, is parikrama is done or pradakshanam is done. At that time the Mallari is played in a very lilting, slow pace, jaise, as though the god is going out to have a nice joy ride, you know, and accompanied by this beautiful music. And I think it got to be a very important format in the Nadaswaram repertoire because they play so many different jatis in it and do a lot of arithmetics in it. So it becomes very beautiful to listen to the composition being played. In Bharatanatyam, I think it's been nearly 20-25 years since I've heard a Mallari being performed, since the gurus also used to kind of take it and perform. It's not as of that recent also. Gurus also took the Mallari. And this is one Mallari, which is a traditional Mallari, though some people credit it to Muthuswami Pillai. So this is a Mallari in Adatalam. Adatalam is how many beats? 15. And Gambiranate. So you can see that the distribution is how many avartanams you can calculate, and tadhitom nam dhitom nam ta kita taka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta denge na tom Dingina tom, gina tom. Two avarthanams. Or if you put it in Ratakala, it will come in one avarthanam. So this is the basic structure. It's a large, you can see the phrase is pretty large. So it gives you enough scope, and as you sing it, you could visualize it how it would sound on the Nadaswaram. You know, it's really, you can see the connection in the Nadaswaram and how the tawil would play the beats. You know, so it's a very nice composition also musically to hear. You know, when somebody is hearing it, when my non-dancing friends find it very fascinating, this this melodic bass. You know, yet. It's the creativity of many of the gurus who've been thinking, who've been, you know, innovating, who've been widening the repertoire constantly. So many of them have composed their own Mallaris also, and we've also done one Mallari for our own use, which we have put the Kanaka and done. So it's an open canvas, just as somebody thought of the Tode Mangalam. Same way somebody thought of as the guru started you know, looking for compositions, interesting compositions to enrich the repertoire, you know, this also started being used. So I guess.
But is this a part of, can it be a part of the Margam?
No, traditionally the Margam is, you can't keep on kind of changing. The traditional Margam is the Alaripu, Jatiswaram, Shabdam, Varnam. These are pieces which have been added after the Renaissance, and when it came on to the stage, there were a lot of demands also on the dancer to do something new, to create and to expand and to kind of explore. So the gurus also started exploring and, you know, finding out, and there is a lot of borrowing from Carnatic music anyway, you know. Like initially, for example, the Tyagaraja compositions, like my first teacher used to say that you should never dance a Tyagaraja composition. That is to be sung. It's for the kacheri, you know. But I see now Tyagaraja compositions are also being attempted. Even the Pancharatnam is being attempted in dance. So I guess those things, you know, a lot of the borrowing from music is happening in a big way. And even Daru compositions, for example, were not part of the repertoire earlier. Swarajati was, but Daru, later on Daru has also become part of the. So I think that enriching the repertoire has constantly happened, and every generation is doing that in their own way, and in terms of formats and in terms of content also. Certain contents which was never seen before, today you see in the dance fold. So I guess that enriching is good, and you are widening the scope and reach of the form, which is, and we are fortunate because in Bharatanatyam, the Carnatic music itself has so many formats, you know, different formats. So it's very easy to kind of adapt and change and borrow it, for example, in Bharatanatyam. Like it's not true of maybe Odissi, where the formats are itself, they have to create formats. They don't have ready formats to borrow from a music tradition. You see, there's still dispute whether the music is Hindustani music or it's Odia music, or, you know, what are the formats, and it's not such a well defined thing like Carnatic music, which has had a long history, and so many Vagyakaras have composed, and, you know, there's so much already history we have out of which we can choose. Because always many of my counterparts in Odissi always say, you are so lucky to have Padams Javlis, you know, ready for you, which you can just pick and choose, and there's so many Padam Javlis. We don't have Padam Javlis. Every time going back to the Ashtapati and wanting to create out of that, or Odia Geet or something like that for Abhinaya. We have such a fund for Abhinaya, we don't know what to do sometimes. There's so much to choose out of. So I guess we are a little more fortunate. So this is totally from the Nadaswaram tradition.
So is a Mallari also adapted by someone from other styles, not particularly Bharatanatyam, from the certain styles like Mohiniyattam or Kuchipudi?
I have no idea. I'm not a Mohiniyattam. I know only the traditional Mohiniyattam. I don't know what is happening now in Mohiniyattam to be able to make a comment like that, because it would be wrong on my part. Which I ask a progressive a practitioner as to how much is the innovation, or how much have they allowed their style to bring in other forms. So that's something that I would not be able to comment, and it wouldn't be fair for me to comment. But I have not seen a Mallari being done in any other style. I have seen it only being done in Bharatanatyam. So in this, the beauty, I like Mallaris very much. That's why we have a large repertoire of Mallaris, as you can see in our school, simply because I feel that it gives lot of scope for stretched movements in the slow pace. And then when you do a tisram, it gives you another feel. And when you do the third speed fast Mallari, that also gives you a lot of scope. And the variations in Tala cycles, you find a lot of them. You find another one which we have is 18 beats. The other one we have is 9 beats. So, we can explore Tala cycles which you don't normally explore maybe in the normal pieces that you do in the Margam. So, this gives you an outer scope, more of a scope to open up and to work. So, when you do the first speed, for example, ta di tom nam di tom nam ta ta kita ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding na tom ding na tom gi na tom ta di tom nam de tom nam ta ta ke ta ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding na tom ding na tom gi na tom ta di tom nam de tom nam ta ta kita ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding na tom gi na tom ta di tom nam de tom nam ta ta kita ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding na tom gi na tom ta di tom nam de tom nam ta ta kita ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding na tom gi na tom ta di tom nam de tom nam ta ta kita ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding na tom gi na tom ta di tom nam ta kita ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding na tom gi na tom ta. 4 also, you can do 4 times. Tom nam. So you see the entire, there can be more possibilities. You can do Tisra Mel Kalam also. So a lot of possibilities, but it becomes very fast, Tisra Mel Kalam. So for the dance, it might not lend for the clarity of the others, it becomes a little difficult. Now for the slow speed, supposing we were to plan slow movements, because slow movements become very different from the regular movements that you do. You don't have too many in the slow movements, and normally this piece is done in the beginning. So it could even be in the form of an entry. How would you, even if you want to use the same pace and do, so you have ta di tom, this pace, nam di tom. So let's try movements to so for any stretched movement that you need to do, warm-ups have to be done very well. Otherwise there's surely going to be a possibility that there is a pull or there's some kind of a problem. So anyway, so supposing you have to do 1 avartanam at least of the stretched slow speed. Normally what we do is we do 2 avartanams of the slow or 1 avartanam of the slow, then 2 times repetition of medium speed, the second speed, and then obviously you have to do 3 of the Tisara Nadai and 4 of the fast. That's normally the format, grammatically correct. You can do the slow speed 1 or 2 depending on the size of the stage and how much you want to kind of spend time on the first speed. So
usually how long is what is the duration of the Mallari?
depends on you how much you want to stretch it, and how, if you want to do it short, this is the minimum what I was telling you. Because if the tala cycle is long, then obviously the one phrase itself is pretty, it's a long duration, no? So it depends on you how much, because see, you also have to see that you're not doing just this. After this might depends on what you're going to do next. So this is demanding. Third speed becomes fast. You need energy to sustain. So it depends on what you're doing next and how much you want to kind of put into this, so that you plan your evening, plan your whole evening. So supposing we were to do stretched movements, just so you could either use hastas, or you can, or even if in an entry if you want to do something else, it's also possible. It's not hard and fast that you have to use these 2 hastas, but normally the feel of the piece is that of an opening piece. You can't really do this somewhere in the middle of the program. It is a piece that is normally done conventionally in the beginning. So that's why automatically the hastas that you use, that's why I suggested, but of course you can think of other hastas. Can you think of some movement? Try out. One of you can try. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta di tom nam di tom nam ta kita taka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom ding na tom gina tom ta. You want to try, Amrita? 1, 2, 3, 4. Di tom nam, di tom nam, ta ke ta ka ta ta ti 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 tom 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 nam nam nam. See, the point is, this is how many beats? How many beats? 14. So if you create a movement of 7 and 7, you need 7 movements if you want to repeat the same phrase. That's the only way to do it. So you have to create 7 movements and then repeat the same section again. And it has to be something that helps you move, isn't it? So think of 7 exact movements. Otherwise it becomes very ad hoc. Whatever you feel like, you just do. So just set 7 movements and then repeat those 7 movements. That's the way to ideally. So 4 times if you walk, ta di tom nam, ho gaya 4. So you have 5, 6, 7. Di tom nam ta. So 7 mein you must finish. So ta di tom nam, di tom nam. Ta again will be the next. Otherwise you have to do 14, 14.
So for that we need 14 movements.
14 movements. It becomes a little difficult. Also you need to move. You see, you can't be in one place. If you are planning to enter with this, then you need to move also. So 4 walk is just right. It's nice. Otherwise you won't enter.
If we walk 3 times,
Supposing you did that, no? Ta di tom nam, di tom nam ta. कितना हुआ? 5, 6, 7. 7 में हो जाना चाहिए. Then you start again.
Okay, so we take 3 walks.
Take 3 walks. Take 3 walks. Try that. Try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Di tom nam, di tom nam ta. Ta ke ta ka ta ta ta. Ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta di ge na tom di ge na tom ge na tom ta. Why didn't it come exact? Maybe somewhere you left out one beat. I think you didn't put the 7. So that's the way you can plan it. Okay. Otherwise, you have to plan it according to the shoulder. Di tom nam. Nam will be one section. Ta di tom nam. Then di tom nam ta. Will be another. Ta ki ta ta ka. Ta 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 ta, di di di. So very slow takita tak. That's the distribution, na? Ha.
Apart from the stretches, we can
Also to enunciate what is being said. So that's also a possibility. So that's that. This stretched thing gives a lot of room to also show your physical capacity of how you can sustain. The spine becomes very important in that, how you are holding a certain movement, how you are holding a certain stance. It shows the preparedness of a dancer. So this in that aspect, this is a different piece. It shows a different aspect of because this much of breaking down and slowing down you don't see in any of the other formats of Bharatanatyam. So this should be used intelligently for that. So using all the feet positions also is important, you know. So even if you take a deep jump, for example, then you have to hold that, yeah. So to hold that.
So it goes with the music also.
So yes, so you have to plan it out in such a way that then you go on to the second speed, which is normally done twice. So first time normally you do what is the basic kanaka of the Mallari itself. So ta ti tom nam, any movement, slow movement. Ta ti tom nam, de tom nam ta, you know, de tom nam ta, ta ki ta ta ka, or ta ki ta ta ka, you know, whatever it is. 1 2 3 4. Ta di tom nam, di tom, this side, tom tom ta, stretch, same that stretch the the other side also stretch, tom ta, no, ta ki ta ta ka, ta ta ka, 1 2 3 4. Ta di tom nam, di tom nam ta, ta ki ta ta ka, ta ki ta ta ka, na, ta ta ta, ti ti ti, tom tom tom, nam nam nam, ta ta di di, tom tom nam nam, ta ding ding na tom, ding ding na tom, gi na tom. As it is, show what is the exact formation of the. So once more, 1 2 3 4. Ta, 1 ta di, that's the first beat. Ta di tom nam, de tom nam ta, ta ki ta ta ta, ta ta ta, di di di, tom tom tom, nam nam nam, ta ta di di, tom tom nam nam, ta ding ki na tom, ding ki na tom, gi na tom. Okay, so you can string any adavas for the second speed and show. Then you go on to the tisram. Ta de tom nam, de tom nam ta, ta ki ta ta ka, ta ta ta. 3 times it comes. So first time maybe you can do it as it is. Ta ti tom, 1 2 3 4. Ta di tom nam, de tom nam ta ta ki ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom ding ding na tom ding na tom. 1 2 3 4 ta di tom nam de tom nam ta ta ki ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom ding ding na tom ding na tom. This becomes one repetition. Same thing you can do in a different way also for Tisanadai. 3 different variations you can create in the same thing, you know, so that 3 times don't look visually the same. Ta de tom nam de tom nam ta ta ki ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom ding ding na tom ding na tom. Another pattern. So 3 varieties like this you can do. Then you go on to ta de tom nam de tom nam ta ta ki ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom. First of course you have to show the Chadusram. 1 2 3 4 ta de 1 2 3 4 ta. Isn't it fast? 1 2 3 4 ta de tom nam nam ta ta ki ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom ding ding na tom ding na tom. Change the atiteta. Don't keep doing the same thing. So you can do this first and then in the fast do the regular one. 1 2 3 4 ta de tom nam nam ta ta ki ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom ding ding na tom. Change the last two, no? Ding na tom. 1 2 3 4 ta de tom nam ta ta ki ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom ding ding na tom ding na tom. See? Fast, real fast. Ta de tom nam ta. You can create variations. Basically 4 times the last portion comes. You can create 4 variations and just finish it off. So this is the structure of the Mallari which is normally done. Can be in any Tala cycle. Basically exploring varieties possible within the format given, and basically the pace is what is exciting in this. When you move from, you know, first to second speed to tisram to third speed, that variation creates a kind of a nice enjoyment for the dancer and for somebody who's listening to what is happening. So can we repeat just the first stretch, some of the compositions that you did just now? First beginning is, so we created movement for 7. Okay, 7 ka structure, it comes 4 times. Then move back so that you start from the back. 1 2 3 4 ta di tom nam di tom nam ta ta ke ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding na tom tom. Then second time 1 2 3 4 ta di tom nam de tom nam ta ta ke ta ta ka ta 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 di 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta di di tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom ding ding na tom ding na tom ta di tom nam de tom nam ta ta ki ta ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom ding ding na tom ding na tom. Then next beat ta de tom nam ta ta ki ta ta ka ta 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 ti 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 tom 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 nam 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 ta ta ti ti tom tom nam nam ta ding ding na tom ding ding na tom ding na tom ta. So got a broad idea of how to structure the Mallari. Okay. We do the namaskar.